Errors in counterterrorism. This editorial examines flaws in Pakistan's counterterrorism strategies and offers a political path forward. The population is the prize. Population is the prize is a metaphor likening civilian support to the ultimate goal in counterinsurgency. This sentence serves as a thesis statement by emphasizing that winning hearts and minds is paramount. Those familiar with counterinsurgency warfare theories will recognize the context in which David Galula coined this phrase. Counterinsurgency warfare theories is jargon meaning academic frameworks for defeating insurgencies. Coin this phrase is a phrasal verb meaning first use these words. This sentence introduces Galula's influence on modern CT thinking. Galula argued that insurgency is not a military contest, but a political struggle in which both insurgents and counterinsurgents vie for the population's support and allegiance. Military contest is a noun phrase meaning purely armed conflict. Political struggle is a noun phrase meaning battle for legitimacy and influence. V4 is a phrasal verb meaning compete for. This sentence explains Galula's key insight. Conflict is won through politics, not force alone. Recent developments in Bajour, where citizens are protesting against military operations, and the tragic events in Tira Valley last week, when 5 demonstrators were killed after security forces allegedly opened fire, must be viewed through this lens. Protesting is a verb meaning publicly objecting. Allegedly is an adverb meaning reportedly, but not yet proven. This sentence means that recent civilian unrest highlights the need to reassess CT tactics. These incidents suggest an urgent need for the state to reassess its counterterrorism, CT, strategies, which appear increasingly detached from the goal of winning hearts and minds. Detached from is a phrasal verb meaning disconnected or out of touch with. Hearts and minds is an idiomatic expression meaning popular support. This sentence states that current CT approaches ignore the political dimension of conflict. In his seminal book, Counterinsurgency Warfare Theory and Practice, Galula emphasizes that military force must be subordinate to political objectives. Seminal is an adjective meaning highly influential. Subordinate to is a phrase meaning placed under or secondary to. This sentence underscores that force should serve, not override, political goals. Force used without legitimacy alienates civilians and reinforces the insurgents' narrative. Legitimacy is a noun meaning rightful authority or acceptance. Reinforces is a verb meaning strengthens or supports. This sentence means that illegitimate force drives civilians toward insurgents. It is essential to remember that insurgents do not need to win militarily. They only need to survive, avoid defeat, and steadily erode the state's credibility in the eyes of its people. Erode is a verb meaning gradually wear away. This sentence explains that insurgents' goal is to outlast and delegitimize the state. Militants in KP's tribal districts have been challenging the state for the past 2 decades. Challenging the state is a phrase meaning resisting governmental authority. This sentence provides historical context of long-standing insurgency in KP. Despite numerous operational successes, security forces remain engaged in prolonged conflict, arguably with little substantive change in their tactics or strategic orientation. Operational successes is jargon meaning wins in specific missions. Substantive is an adjective meaning significant or meaningful. Well, this sentence means that despite battlefield wins, overall strategy has not evolved. The prevailing operational approach remains focused on achieving military victories while largely neglecting the critical objective of winning the population's allegiance. Prevailing is an adjective meaning dominant or widespread. Neglecting is a verb meaning failing to address. This sentence states that current tactics overvalue force and undervalue politics. The strategic oversight not only deepens mistrust among the local population, but also fosters suspicion towards the counterinsurgent forces themselves, ironically serving the militants' very aim of delegitimizing the state's presence and actions. Strategic oversight is a noun phrase meaning a serious planning error. Fosters is a verb meaning encourages or promotes. This sentence explains that ignoring politics undermines trust and aids insurgents. A lasting solution to insurgency lies not in overwhelming military force, but in political strategy. Overwhelming is an adjective meaning overpowering. This sentence reiterates that sustainable peace demands politics over pure force. Occasionally, the security forces convene jirgas with local tribes and mobilize lashkars against militants, as was recently seen in Bajor, where security officials sought to gain the tribesmen's confidence regarding their CT operations. Convene is a verb meaning to call together. Jirgas is jargon for traditional tribal councils in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Mobilize is a verb meaning to assemble or organize. Lashkars is jargon for tribal militias. This sentence means that security forces sometimes use tribal gatherings and militias to build local trust. However, such engagements are infrequent and seldom integrated into a broader strategy. Infrequent is an adjective meaning not happening often. Integrated is a verb meaning combined into a unified whole. Editorial, this sentence means these tribal efforts are rare and not part of a coherent plan. The dominant pattern remains one of evacuating areas and displacing local populations or conducting small to medium-scale operations that restrict civilian movement, often without prior warning or any provision for livelihoods. Evacuating is a verb meaning removing people for safety or tactical reasons. Displacing is a verb meaning forcing to move from one's home. Livelihoods is a noun meaning means of earning a living. This sentence means that operations typically uproot civilians and curtail their daily lives. Within this framework, engagement with local communities lacks the consistency, trust building, and institutional backing necessary for a successful CT strategy. Consistency is a noun meaning regularity of action. Trust building is a noun meaning efforts to foster confidence. And institutional backing is a noun phrase meaning support from formal organizations. This sentence means that community outreach is unreliable and unsupported, undermining success. Without a deliberate reorientation towards long-term civilian support and political legitimacy, operational victories are unlikely to translate into sustainable peace. Deliberate is an adjective meaning intentional. Reorientation is a noun meaning a change of focus or direction. Political legitimacy is a noun phrase meaning acceptance of authority as rightful. This sentence means that without shifting to politics and public support, war gains won't last. The engagement initiative in Bajar came only after the launch of a military offensive against militants, a sequence that undermined its effectiveness. Initiative is a noun meaning an introductory action. Sequence is a noun meaning a particular order of events. Undermined is a verb meaning weakened or made ineffective. Nas. This sentence means that outreach after attacks failed to build genuine trust. In that operation, 3 civilians, including a 12-year-old boy and a young girl, were reportedly killed and at least 12 others injured. Civilians is a noun meaning non-combatant residents. Reportedly is an adverb meaning according to accounts yet to be confirmed. This sentence means that the offensive caused civilian casualties, fueling local anger. Engagement should have come first. Should have is a modal verb phrase indicating an obligation in retrospect. This sentence means trust building must precede military action. The local population should have been taken into confidence before deploying a heavy military contingent and imposing prolonged curfews. Taken into confidence is an idiom meaning informed and assured beforehand. Contingent is a noun meaning a body of troops. Prolonged curfews is a noun phrase meaning extended restrictions on movement. This sentence means civilians deserve warning and inclusion before strict security measures. Moreover, the provincial government was apparently not brought on board during this operation, further deepening mistrust among the population. On board is an idiomatic expression meaning included or involved. Apparently is an adverb meaning seemingly or evidently. This sentence means excluding the local authorities worsened public distrust. The jirga in Bajor should have been initiated by the provincial government rather than the security forces to lend greater political legitimacy and reduce the perception of unilateral action. Lend is a verb meaning to provide or confer. Unilateral is an adjective meaning done by one side only. This sentence means official-led Jirgas would have more authority and trust. KP is one of Pakistan's most critical provinces. Critical is an adjective meaning of key importance. This sentence states KP's strategic significance to national stability. It is grappling with severe governance challenges and widespread political discontent. Grappling with is a phrasal verb meaning struggling to deal with. Discontent is a noun meaning dissatisfaction. This sentence means KP faces both administrative and popular unrest. The political outlook of the majority in KP often diverges from that of the power centers in Islamabad and Rawalpindi, fostering a sense of alienation and suspicion. Diverges is a verb meaning differs or deviates. Power centers is a noun phrase meaning locations of political authority. This sentence means local views clash with federal positions, creating mistrust. Several districts in the province have become ungovernable due to persistent militancy. Ungovernable is an adjective meaning impossible to control. Persistent is an adjective meaning ongoing. This sentence means militancy has rendered parts of KP beyond effective governance. In such a context, nothing can replace the value of a consensus-based CT strategy, one that is locally rooted and politically inclusive. Consensus-based is a compound adjective, meaning agreed upon by all parties. Locally rooted is a compound adjective, meaning founded in local context. Politically inclusive is a compound adjective, meaning involving diverse political voices. This sentence means sustainable CT requires broad local agreement and inclusion. The recent incident in Khyber District's Tira Valley mentioned earlier illustrates the urgency of such an approach. Illustrates is a verb meaning demonstrates or exemplifies. This sentence means the Tira Valley killings underscore the need for reform. In response, a local jirga not only demanded a formal inquiry into the killings, but also called for the evacuation of civilian homes occupied by security forces within 15 days, and an end to unnecessary harassment of citizens at checkpoints. Formal inquiry is a noun phrase meaning an official investigation. Harassment is a noun meaning abusive treatment. This sentence means tribal leaders sought justice, restoration, and respect for civilians. These demands reflect deep-seated grievances and highlight the need for a more humane, transparent, and politically accountable approach to security operations. Deep-seated is a compound adjective meaning firmly established. Transparent is an adjective meaning open and clear. Politically accountable is a phrase meaning answerable to public and institutions. This sentence means local cries demand compassion, openness, and responsibility in CT. Pakistan's departure from the colonial-era counterinsurgency approach of rule by exception was shaped by a mix of military repression and divide-and-rule politics, rooted in imperial anxieties over borders, tribal autonomy, and anti-colonial resistance. Rule by exception is a jargon phrase meaning governance through special laws bypassing normal rule. Divide and rule is a colloquial term for pitting groups against each other to maintain power. This sentence means colonial tactics merge force and manipulation to control frontier regions. The Frontier Crimes Regulation, based on collective action, was the worst legal framework, which Pakistan abandoned after 7 decades. Frontier Crimes Regulation, FCR, is a proper noun for colonial-era tribal laws. Collective action is a noun phrase meaning group punishment. This sentence means the FCR's communal punishments were draconian and were finally repealed. But there is still a mindset that wants to run the affairs of the tribal districts within the same framework. Mindset is a noun meaning a fixed mental attitude. This sentence means some policymakers still favor old repressive methods. If someone is thinking of bringing back these laws and restoring FATA's status, it would be a grave mistake, which can trigger anger and mistrust. Grave is an adjective meaning serious or severe. Trigger is a verb meaning to cause to happen. This sentence means reinstating colonial rules would provoke backlash and suspicion. The British co-opted the Malaks and used jirgas to manage conflict and secure cooperation. Co-opted is a verb meaning to bring into one's group for one's purposes. Malaks is jargon for tribal chieftains. This sentence means colonial authorities enlisted local leaders to enforce their rule. Tribal lashkars were at times mobilized to act on behalf of the state. Mobilized is a verb meaning organized for action. This sentence means militias were occasionally used as proxy forces by the government. However, these colonial-era approaches can be counterproductive today. Counterproductive is an adjective, meaning having the opposite effect of that intended. This sentence means old methods now undermine rather than support stability. Past military operations in the tribal districts have significantly transformed the region's social structures. Significantly is an adverb meaning importantly or to a large extent. This sentence means prior campaigns have reshaped society in lasting ways. The forced displacement of local populations not only traumatized communities, but also exposed many to urban life and alternative social models. Forced displacement is a noun phrase meaning involuntary removal. Traumatized is a verb meaning cause psychological harm. This sentence means expulsions inflicted trauma but broaden people's horizons. As a result, a new middle class is emerging in these districts, one that does not identify with colonial methods of control. Emerging is a verb meaning coming into being. This sentence means displaced residents are building a class unsympathetic to old coercion. While a few traditional elders in religious parties who once benefited from draconian colonial laws may still support such approaches, they no longer represent the broader aspirations of the population. Draconian is an adjective meaning excessively harsh. This sentence means only vested elites favor old methods. Most people want change. As echoed by David Galula and reaffirmed in modern counterinsurgency doctrines, a lasting solution to insurgency lies not in overwhelming military force, but in political strategy. Doctrines is a noun meaning taught principles or policies. This sentence restates that politics, not force, is key to ending insurgency. No call. Counterinsurgency is 80% political and only 20 PC military. 20 PC is a notation meaning 20%. This sentence quantifies the political dominance in CT strategy. It demands serious attention to the underlying grievances that fuel unrest, corruption, exclusion, inadequate service delivery, and ethnic or sectarian marginalization. Underlying is an adjective meaning fundamental but not immediately obvious. Marginalization is a noun meaning treatment as unimportant or peripheral. This sentence means CT must address root causes of conflict and exclusion. Military force must be applied with precision and restraint, avoiding harm to civilians, which only deepens alienation. Precision is a noun meaning exactness. Restraint is a noun meaning self-control. This sentence means force should be used carefully to prevent civilian backlash. Insurgencies are long and complex wars. Tactical victories mean little without strategic consistency and political legitimacy. Tactical victories is a noun phrase meaning wins in specific battles. Strategic consistency is a noun phrase meaning coherence in overall planning. This sentence means small wins fail if not backed by a steady political plan. The most effective strategies are those that are adaptive, locally grounded, and responsive to evolving realities on the ground. Adaptive is an adjective meaning able to adjust. Locally grounded is a compound adjective meaning based on local context. Responsive is an adjective meaning reacting quickly to change. This sentence means success requires flexible, community-based, context-aware tactics. The wisdom distilled from decades of conflict is simple yet profound. We can't kill our way out of an insurgency. Distilled is a verb meaning extracted essential parts. Profound is an adjective meaning deeply meaningful. This sentence concludes that military means alone cannot resolve insurgencies. The writer is a security analyst. Published in Dawn, August 3, 2025.